What is up, you filthy animals? Merry Christmas. This week's episode is brought to you by the crew over at Dog and Gun Coffee. You can get $10 off of your next order from Dog and Gun with the code Bowhunter. That's Bowhunter, all in capitals. And that will get you $10 off your next order. I love my Dog and Gun coffee, and I specifically drink the Samba blend most days. However, within saying that, I've actually been trialling the decaf recently, and it is freaking delicious as well, because I'm a bit of a coffee lover. It's nice to have the option to have a coffee in the afternoon without it having the spicy buzz that it gives you. So yeah, you can head across to Dog and Gun. I'd recommend checking out both those products and obviously everything else they sell, and you can get $10 off your next order with the code Bowhunter.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands, searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting.
What is up, bow hunters? This week I have Benny Fensom returning. So he was on an episode a few weeks ago with Grant and Cam Rand, and this episode is all about kind of his backstory, but also just a recent adventure that he took with his family. They went from New South, where they live, all the way up into the Cape to the Point, and there's a lot that kind of happened over that journey, and it just really shows how lucky and how fortunate we are in Australia to be able to, I guess, have a country where it's just full of adventure. If you go searching for it, you can really find it wherever you go. But also, we talk a lot about hunting, a lot about what he got to do on this trip as a piece by itself, I guess, but also just some of his hunting experiences from the past. So yeah, I think there's a lot in this for everyone, especially if you're in the trad world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, bow hunters, welcome back to another episode. Sitting here with Mr. Benny Fensom. Welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thank you for having me.
It's funny because it took us a long time to actually get here, but we've had 2 podcasts in 2 weeks now. And realistically, this podcast, I was doing it I mapped it all out today, and this probably isn't going to come out till around Christmas time. So it's pretty funny because we're back in, we started November 10th today. Yet we had the podcast with Grant last week. That all happened just last Thursday, and it was when I was in complete scramble. And I had now within the last week, I've had 4 podcasts out, and that's pretty crazy for me in 2 weeks to get that many out. So it's good. It's good to talk that much bow hunting, that's for sure.
Oh, buddy, oath. Yeah, no, it means everyone's out and about, so that's good.
Yeah, definitely do. But so to kind of give a bit of a recap, you got into hunting as a young fella. Your uncle kind of gave you a lot of guidance and got you along your way. You got into the wheels to start with. You're on the compound bow, and then you stepped into the traditional bow after sharing camp with your friend. What was your friend's name again?
Benny Reef.
Benny Reef got you into the stick bow, essentially, and then you've just been a hard yakker from there.
Yep.
A diehard fan. But I think... So you were first introduced to me when I actually did the podcast when I was on the hunt with Grant Rand. He was like, dude, you need to reach out to Benny Fensom. Like, he'll be a great yarn for the podcast. I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then some of my first interactions with you were actually seeing the photos because you went out to the same block that we were on a week or 2 after we were there, and you took your son out on your back in a little backpack while you went and did some hunting. And sure enough, Grant sends through this photo of you with your stick bow, sitting over the top of this pig with your son in your backpack. And I just thought it was the sickest thing. I thought that was so good. And it just really made me go, heck, that's like bringing it to the kids to the utmost, right?
Oh, mate. Yeah, that was probably one of the best afternoons in the hills, in the bush, anywhere to this day that I've had with Randy and Lukey, my son. It was a funny afternoon. Like, we went out and Lukey, being Lukey, it was freezing cold, and of course he didn't understand too much yet. When telling him to be quiet, he needs to be quiet. And he's bird and cow and lungs. And anyway, me and Randy sort of give up on everything because the wind was swirling and doing its thing. And anyway, we're like, we'll just poke up here. And anyway, Lukey's there talking there, and next minute I just feel this heavy weight against the back of my neck. And I'm like, push back with my head, like, what's going on here? And anyway, a heavy lump against back again. And I said to Randy, I said, is he asleep? He was talking 2 seconds ago, and here he is snoring on the back of the neck. And anyway, we ended up having, like, the second he fell asleep, we actually come on to a really good ginger boar. Like, he was a cracker. And anyway, we're up high in the perfect spot that you wish you could be when you spot a pig like that, because he was just wandering up the gully towards us. We're in the head of the gully. We're in the open side, stick on the other side. And anyway, this big ginger boar was coming up towards us, and he sort of come like probably 50, 60 yards from. And Randy's there set up ready, and I got Lukey on my back trying to nudge him, trying to wake him up, but he's just pouring away. And I'm shaking my head laughing. And anyway, this big fella put his nose in the air and sort of just walked down. Must have been a sow on season or whatever. Like, he wasn't smelling us. He sort of just got interest in this long stuff next to us. And anyway, he moved into that, and it was just too thick. We couldn't lay eyes on him again. So anyway, we're like, oh, well, that was good. At least we found something. Wandered down into the creek, walking back, and sure enough, here's these pigs on the creek flat just across from us. And anyway, so we're down across the creek, and Lukey's woken up. I jumped the creek. I nearly fell in the creek, so that would have been so he'd woken up and was snuck up, and was probably only under 10 yards, for somewhere between 6 and 10 yards, this sow. And anyway, it was like, oh, well, it's you never get a moment like this with me boy.
Definitely.
And he's had eyes on him. Like the second I shot the pig, he's like, Dad, a pig, Dad, you got it, Dad. Like, so he was just ecstatic. He was that excited. And anyway, me and Randy, we took a couple of videos and that, and it was a special moment. Like, just hard to beat.
That's so cool. I think it's to be honest, it was actually everything I expected. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe you've just trained him to be really quiet when you're out hunting and stuff, because it's so hard to actually tell kids, hey, you should be quiet at this time, and like their whispers are not whispers, and their laughs are never half laughs. It's always a big full laugh, and the excitement is just, it's great. You don't want to pin it down at all. Like, you want it to be out there, but in that situation is like the one time where you're like, come on, just be on my side. Come on.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's actually funny how I used to carry the kids. Like, before I was putting them in the pack, I never really thought of putting them in the backpack. And the reason being why I ended up putting the kids in the pack when I go was because when we spoke about calling foxes and stuff in the last podcast, one afternoon I had Amiri, when she was only sort of 12 months old, behind me standing on the ground, and she worked as a pretty good little decoy. One of the foxes, like, dead set, I've never have her. She's in a little pink shirt, and it sort of was a little bit of a wake up call to go, oh, okay, I was putting myself in front of her. We got a tree at our back. Like, I thought she was 100% safe, and yet, I ended up shooting one of these foxes. It was the one that died in the blackberry bush. Never recovered it, but I shot it at like a meter flat out, running at us. It wasn't looking at me; it was looking at her. So,
yeah, wow.
wake up call, and I thought, well, sometimes we need these. So I decided, all right, I'll see if I can fit in my pack. So therefore, now everyone, it's great. Like, it's so much easier than carrying them.
What pack do you have, man? What do you run?
It's a Stone Glacier, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually given to me, God love him, by Cora.
How good.
I used to have a cheap busted ass pack, and I was up the first trip I ever went, and it was awesome. Like, he give me that and was like, here, Benny, try this, buddy. And anyway, it was good.
How good. Yeah, I've been looking at packs just recently, like just this last week, with everyone doing their Black Friday sales and stuff. There's big sales on right now. I'm like, oh, do I, don't I? I just still I've got like a tactical Reebok bag, and to be honest, it's done everything I've ever needed it to. Even when I've had to carry out meat, like it carries a dense amount of meat for what it is. So I'm kind of still umming and ahhing. I'm like, I know I will do it eventually, but I just don't know what I want. I haven't done enough research, and so all of a sudden there's these 40% sales. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So, yeah, I've been asking around a bit, asking people what their picks are on the different bags. So
the worst mistake you can make is asking the wife. What are you for?
Yeah, exactly. You don't another one? Yeah, another one. What for? Oh, but that's a day pack, honey. This is for an overnight.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Trying to jump that to the wife doesn't go very well.
No, definitely. And so something that's actually kind of leads into what you guys have just done recently, which is take the whole family on a massive trip. You guys did 5 weeks on the road with the kids, out hunting, out fishing, out doing a mixture of your favorite things.
Yep.
How did that play out? Like, how did it come to fruition? Is your wife a hunter herself? Like, was it an easy sell for her, or did you have to work hard?
Well, no, it was good. We didn't do too much hunting overall on the trip. It was, it ended up just being a great being in the bush trip, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Did a little bit of hunting, bit of fishing, a lot of fishing when we got the opportunities. Didn't have much success. But, we my wife, she enjoys shooting a rifle. She's not too much of a fan of bows. She shot a couple of pigs with me at Warren when we lived there with a compound bow, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
She still leans towards the rifles and, that sort of stuff. And, at the end of the day, she's not as into it as what I am.
Definitely, yeah. But
she still supports me in the things I'd like to do, and which is important. So that's good.
Definitely.
But the 5 weeks in the camper trailer with the kids and the wife, it was great. We've seen some great country and a lot of great critters, like some awesome scrub bulls and some cracking good pigs, and caught some barramundi. My daughter caught her first barramundi, which she was absolutely ecstatic. That was a good day, that one, all in all. But there's a whole story to that day in itself.
So in a camper trailer, just like a little pop-out type one?
Yeah, just a Black Series, just a Patron Black Series we bought second-hand. And, we bought it thinking, will we use it, won't we use it? And we've used the hell out of it.
That's good. How long do you have your setup down to?
I can set it up in under 5 minutes if I want to, just basic, but sort of 10 or 15 minutes, you can have a real good camp set up.
That's pretty good.
Last year when Gordo had the meet and greet down at Albury, I said to Jack and I were both going and we were taking swags, and I was like, oh man, I've got a camp trailer now, you want me to bring that? So it's got a double bed down each end, so
amazing.
It's like, and luckily it poured rain, so it worked out well. We just hunkered down in the bloody camper trailer, and it was spot on.
It really is a game changer. I've got one. I've got an MDC. It's just like a fold out to the side sort of thing. But it takes about 45 minutes or so to set up fully. But once you're set, you're just like you're so comfortable. Like you've got your kitchen, you've got everything there. You've got so much space under there. Like I think it's pretty much a 6x6 by the time you kind of fold out that and the annex and everything. Like it's just so good as to the space that you get to have that's undercover, and it just makes any camping trip so good. Same sort of thing. I went on a hunt with some guys, and we were all just taking our swags, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to bring my camper trailer up. Like, it's all good. You guys just sleep in and around the camper trailer. I still bring a mattress or a swag or whatever, but like then we can have our kitchen. We've got you just got everything you need. It's just so handy.
It's nearly essential with the kids.
100%.
Like not like you can get by roughing it. But to just keep the wife sane and have a good time. I think it's important that they have a kitchen and they can wash their hands and, do that sort of stuff. It's just, and, have a fridge, keep the kids, stuff cold. And
definitely.
you do that, you enjoy your trip a lot more.
100%. Yeah. And realistically, that comfort is just, it's such a sell for the kids. Like, without them even realizing it, if you didn't have it, your life would be a hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, we did one night camping in a Big Daddy Deluxe swag. My wife and the two kids over at. Yeah, it was full on, eh?
I can imagine. Yeah, wow. That's a lot.
I think we had a camper trailer the following week.
It was actually a similar situation for us. We didn't have kids yet, but we went on a camping trip up at my family's block up at Springshaw. And I think we were just freshly married, to be honest. And my wife was like, look, if we're going to have family soon and we're going to be coming back up to this in another 2 years' time or whatever it is, like, we're going to need a bigger space. I think we should get a camper van. I'm like, okay, let's start looking now. I'm jumping on this while we're hot on this. Let's work on it. And so we end up using our a lot of our wedding money, to be honest, to buy a camper van. It's been sick.
Yeah, nice. How good's that?
Yeah. So where did you guys actually go on your trip?
So we started where I live 30 k's northwest of Young, New South Wales, and went right up through central Queensland up to Cairns. Mm-hmm. Spent our first 2 nights spent the first night at Charlotte Plains, which is an awesome spot, the hot baths. Out in the outback, which is awesome. And then second night at Tambo pub, we stayed out on Stubby Bend on the river, and the pub there runs chicken races every night at I think it's 5 o'clock, mate, and it is a must. Anyone out there, if you're going through Tambo, make sure you're there at 5 o'clock. And we got there at about must have been about 3:45, and walked in, got the kids with us, and we hadn't set up camp yet. We just got in town and heard about these chicken races, walk into the pub, and there's not a soul there, just a publican, Ben, I think his name is as well. And anyway, we're like, well, mate, are you family friendly? He's like, yeah, mate, yeah, no, come in, yeah. And then it was like, oh, do you mind whereabouts can we sit with the kids? He's like, nah, pull up a stump at the bar, you're all right, buddy. So the kids are up, they're getting to have a busy drink at the bar, and which they've never been able to do before. And we're there having a yarn, and he said, mate, go out and set up your camp, because he said, come back here at 5 o'clock, you won't be able to move. So, like, once chicken race start, and I'm looking around going, now, he's having me on, this fella. Like, I don't own chickens. Like, anyway, so we went out. He said, I'll send out a bus to pick you up. So, righto, no worries. Went out there and set up camp real quick. Come back in. They picked us up in a bus and took us back into town. And like, it's only literally 2 k's or something, but it just beats having to walk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, sure enough, this pub is packed. Like, I don't know where all these people come from, and went out the back. And the way it works, he's got these chickens. They're all like dyed different colours and named different names, and he's got a remote control car with a bucket strapped to it, and he puts grain and worms and stuff in it, and he's got a little racetrack. So these chickens have to do 4 laps of the track, and they don't have to do 4 laps. It's just the cart does 4 laps.
Yep.
And the first chicken to cross the line over after the 4 laps is the winner. And so you bid on your chickens. So he'll auction them off. And I think the dearest chicken went for like $280. Like, it was crazy. But the winnings go to charity.
Yeah.
So half goes to the winner of the winning chicken, and half goes to like a local charity. It was the Care Flight for the central Queensland. Yeah. Which was a great cause, I believe.
Definitely.
And the fact that you can have a bit of fun, have a beer, and experience that, and you're doing it for a good cause. That was one of the best afternoons of the trip, and that was on the second afternoon. Just with the kids loved it, so that was cool.
I feel like I've heard quite a lot about Tambo, and I wonder if it pretty much comes back to just the pub. Like, the pub's the livelihood of it all.
I nearly reckon so. Yeah, it was a bloody good afternoon, and so we ended up in Cairns. Went up to Cairns, and we went out at Great Barrier Reef snorkeling with the kids. That was awesome. Like, Lukey wasn't so much real keen on it, but Amelia, she took a bit of warming up to it. But in the end, like, I got her. She just laid on my back with her snorkel goggles on, and she'd just look down in the water, and I'd paddle along, and she'd just be looking down, holding onto my back, and like just to experience that, there's 100 other people there, but getting to experience that with the kids, that was cool. Like a lot of lucky enough to see a turtle and a heap of other fish and whatnot. Like, yeah, that was super cool.
It's just such like a eye-opening experience for them too, right? Like, and I think the cool thing is like, because what'd you say your daughter is? She is 5 now, just about
4.
4.
She's 4.
So she can definitely remember what's going on. And like, I mean, our daughter's only just turned 3, and we talked to her about stuff that happened 6 months ago, and she still remembers it. She still kind of brings it up. She's like, oh yeah, remember when we went and did this? Remember when we went to the zoo and we saw the zebras? I'm like, yeah, I do remember that. So yeah, it's cool just to, I think experiences like that, it just opens their eyes and gives them a lot more of a love and appreciation for the wildlife straight away. Like my dad was the zoo vet when we lived in Rockhampton. And so he would get call-outs after hours, and just because mum was at work or whatever else, he would take us with him. It was pretty cool. We'd get to go and like watch him enter the chimpanzee, their cage essentially. He'd go in, and they'd have one person with a bin lid up, like walking towards the chimpanzees while they shot them with their darts and whatever to try and make them be all calm. And yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. But at the same time, like that stuff's ingrained in my head, and I would have been 3 at the time, maybe even 4.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just so cool.
Yeah, heck with that. No, it's and it's important, the memories like that. I think like if you can make memories like that for your kids, well, you're doing the right thing, I guess. It's
definitely,
that's the way I see it. And also out on the reef, she's an unbelievable driver, bike rider, and everything for her age. Like and we went out on the glass bottom boat with the guide, and he goes, "I'll drive the boat for you." And the guide just sort of laughed and was like, "Yeah, righto, go on then." So she like a little champ, jumps up, and he's sort of a bit shocked, thinking, and he moves aside. She sits up on the seat, starts steering, guiding the boat around back over to the big ship out on the Great Barrier Reef, and he's like, "Oh, how good's this?" And we're like, we've got other random people on this boat with us that are probably freaking out, like 4-year-old girl driving us around the reef. But no, she did it like a champ, steered it into the big like moored boat there, and yeah, no, it was great. Like and stuff like that. I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cool. Just makes you even more of a proud like father moment too, right? You're looking on that stuff.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And yeah, so we went north from there, and north from Cairns, and ended up we stayed out bush a couple of nights, and had an awesome stalk on a cracking good boar right in camp. Like we had I think it was an olive tree. Is it olives? Is it olives?
What, like they've got them up there?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like a round. Yeah, I'm sure it was olive. So like round green.
Olive ones are almost like a pasty green.
Big fig tree.
Fig trees, yeah, got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a fig tree. I'm not familiar with the trees up there.
No, it's all right.
Anyway, big tree like 30 yards from our camp trailer. And Amelia, of all people, goes, "Dad, look, there's a pig." And I'm like, "What?" Anyway, ears perk up. Anyway, look, yeah, here's 2 thumping great boars. One that had a white smile for days, and the other one was just, I think, a big lump of a young pig. And anyway, snuck over with me bow. I didn't even know that they like what was going on at the time, but they're underneath this tree. And anyway, the big ivory fella, he just woke up to something wasn't right or wasn't comfortable being that close to people camp. So he left, and this other fella I snuck into about sort of 10 yards and sat there off him, and I was more just on a high thinking, how cool is this? I got camp set up there, Didn't have any interest in shooting him at all. And in the end, yeah, he just sort of woke up to the fact I was getting closer and closer, I think, just because I was like, this is awesome. And the kids are watching, and the wife's watching, and friends that were camp with us are watching. So, yeah, that was cool. We ended up just trotting up the hill, and that was pretty cool, just like in camp experience for enough.
That's so good.
And we just kept going north. Went to the tip. did the Frenchman's track with a camper trailer on. I don't recommend that.
No way. What, just sketchy?
Oh, mate, it was across the Pasco River. We did it from east to west. And apparently that's the hardest way to do it. Right as we got to the Pasco River, it poured rain. So it's like as and gnarly, and like proper four-wheel drive dudes do it. And I'm not much of a four-wheel driver. Like my mate had done it when he was a kid with his parents. So he's like, yeah, we've got to do it. And anyway, I went in there and, oh, mate, it was crazy hectic. Like I definitely wouldn't do it again with a camp trailer. But I by all means, I'd do it in a normal vehicle, but not a normal vehicle, but a single vehicle without a trailer. But yeah, went from there and up the old Telegraph track, which the kids absolutely love. They were in every water crossing, like, you know, just because it's crystal clear water, you know, they absolutely. And the kids are a bit, how you going to start with the like a pretty wild tracks. They're like, you know, cross here and there at the start, and it was like, it's all right, you know, the crazy tracks take us to the good spots, kids. And in the end, like, where's the more crazy spots, the crazy tracks? Yeah, right, Dom. We'll go find another one. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what, were they just pretty much like just eroded roads and whatever else? Or
yeah, that's a cold way of putting it, yeah.
Not like it's like huge ups and downs as such. It's more so the fact that they're just ripped to shreds.
Very steep,
okay.
And shreds, and the Pasco River was really deep, like, and wide, like running water, big boulders in the river as well as deep. So you had to go out in the river and then turn left and head up the river a little bit, and then head back across the river and sort of zigzag your way across to then get up the exit track, which was pretty gnarly because the water was like just below like your door window, basically.
Bro, that's intense.
Yeah, it was.
So
it
what,
was
the big boulders you could see because they're poking out of the water?
Well, it was pretty clear water, so we walked it first, which little did we. Apparently, there's a lot of crocs in the river down further, but it's possible to have crocs there. But we walked it first and sort of found the big boulders, and then sort of just memorised where they were, and then had to sort of navigate your way through. And then the other side is just steep, and if it wasn't wet, it probably would have been okay, but it had rained, so everything was wet and slippery, and yeah, like,
oh, bro, that
great.
is intense.
I'm so glad I did it, but do I do it again? Shit.
Man, it's funny. My daughter actually just said to me today when we hopped in the car, she goes, "What's that black thing off the side of the car, Dad?" I said, "It's a snorkel for when we take the car swimming." I said, "But Dad's too scared to take it swimming, so we haven't gone yet." But I was literally thinking about like an experience like that this morning, and it's just funny that we bring it straight up, and it's crazy to see how powerful water is, and especially a running creek. Like, yeah, it's just scary stuff.
Yeah.
And people,
when I say it was running, by all means, I wouldn't deem it as dangerous.
No, definitely not. No,
I never went in there with my kids if it was
100%.
Still, we're running. Anything can still go wrong.
Exactly right.
Say, not do its job, and your car stop in the middle of that river.
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
Exactly.
Like, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
Like, it was like proper nowhere. So it was. It's just south of Lockhart.
Yeah.
Pretty remote, and we spent the night at Chili Beach before we went to that, and it's a great spot, an awesome spot. Amir hooked a massive shark off the beach, and she's going, "Dad, I got one." And you know, kids like when they got a fish on the rod, they say, well, when they haven't even, they say they got one every time there's a line in the water. "Dad, I got one." Righto. And I was helping Lukey because he kept winding his rod in, and I look around at, it's like, Amir's going, "Dad, I got one. And I'm like, yeah, righto. Look around, and her eyes dead set. This made my trip. Her eyes were like the size of dinner plates. The rod's near getting pulled out of her hand, and this shark is only in like a metre of water. So as soon as it realised it's just erupted. So this shark's coming out of the water, and Amir's jaw was on the sand. Like, she didn't know what to do. Like, and my jaw was on the sand. I'm like, holy shit, she's got one. but we never landed that shark. He was way too big for us.
Yeah,
But
I can imagine.
just another highlight of it all, yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
But so we ended up going right to the tip and spent days up there and carried my fishing rod to the tip, and second cast it snapped. I was spewing.
No.
One cast a big popper, and I don't think it was made for a day. And second cast, bang, snapped. I was like,
It's
"You're
heartbreaking."
kidding."
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was catch a fish off the tip, and couldn't do it. But went from there down to Weeper and spent a couple of days there. Went fishing with Jacko, and that was good fun. It was a good day, buddy. Yeah, out on the water with him, so that was good. And then went from there. Luckily enough, on our way home, we had to cut our trip short. My wife's Nana was very ill and not expected to live too much longer.
Yeah, sorry, man.
So we had to cut our trip short. And anyway, I did plan on spending a few days there with Matty. I'd been talking to him on our way home to call into Strathburn and have a couple of days with all the fellas and catch up. And anyway, we ended up only being able to have the day. We got there late in the afternoon, and the wife was like, I'd like to sort of keep going if we can. And, imagine me, like I was like, yep, fully understand, but we were sort of way in front of where we were. And we knew this was happening, but we sort of hoped it didn't happen on our trip.
Definitely,
but it become more and more serious while we were away. So we ended up, we had the day, we had the night, then the next day, Katie, my wife, she sort of was like, I'd like to get going this afternoon. Yeah, righto, no worries. But anyway, by the end of the day, or by the middle of the day, we were all having that much fun. It was like, righto, if we get up at 5 a.m, we'll still be where we would have been, or in front of where we would have been if we were only leaving Weeper. Like, righto, we'll stay. So Matty's like, righto, we'll grab your bow and your fishing rods, and the girls and Serena and Dana and Matty and Nikita and the kids are in, like the girls were in one car, and Amelia, Matty and I were in another car. Anyway, he's like, oh, yeah, grab your bow. And I'm like, oh, no, that's right. And he's like, no, man, grab your bow. Like, just take it just in case I recurve. And anyway, so we've got fishing rods and going down to the fishing hole. And anyway, he goes, oh, good chance. This is 1 o'clock in the day, and cruising along, having a beer. Next minute, he just stops the car. And he's like signaling the girls to, shut the car off, Anyway, there's this huge, he'd only just finished telling me that there's this big saltwater croc that lives in one of the water holes not too far away. And there's this huge billabong. Like, I haven't spent any time up in that country in Queensland at all. So there's this huge billabong that just screamed crocodiles to me. Like, I'm going, oh, and here's this whopping great boy out in the middle of it. Like, right, he couldn't have been any further out in the middle of it. And I'm like, oh, shit. So we all walked down there together, the kids and everything. The kids thought it was great, they're looking at this big pig. So I said to Matty, I was like, mate, you got any tips for me? Because, like, I've never stalked a pig. I've shot plenty of pigs, but I've never stalked anything like that. And this big fella was switched on. Like, he's there looking at like every time the birds flew up or made a noise, he had his ears up and he's looking around. And Matty's like, oh, he's pretty switched on. He said, you have to get as low as you can. Like, just try and stay low, go slow. When he's got his head under the water, move. When he lifts it up, stop. But he's like, just remember, when he lifts his head out of the water, he's going to have the sun in his eyes with water running over his eyes for probably 5 seconds, So the second he puts his head up, you've actually got a little bit of lapse time to just get yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
You just, like, keep that in mind. So I'm like, yeah, right, because I never thought of any of this, So I first 10 steps into the billabong, I shit myself. I'm like, a croc's going to eat me.
Remember that whole conversation about the crocodile he was just telling you about.
I'm there, like, and I'm sure, like, he's assured me it was safe, but they're just me being in I'm in the Cape, like, no water safe. I was taught that from a young, no water north of wherever is safe, And so I'm shit. I'm looking. I'm between my knees and my waist deep in water. Lily pads. It's muddy as hell. Things are touching my leg, and I'm like, it was obviously just lily pads, but I'm shitting myself. I need to jump out of the water. And then I'm like, no, come on, like, regroup. So started to regroup. It's like, it'll be right. What are the chances? So starts hanging out, and then old mate, he's putting his head up because the birds were obviously reacting to me moving out in the water. So he sort of kept his head up for longer, and he's looking around, and he put his head under, then back up. So I was like, oh, Matty told me to get low, and I had me curve, and I had me bino harness on, I had me phone in my bino harness. I'm trying to get low and had an arrow knocked, and I'm like, this isn't working. And I'm like, well, supposedly my bow's meant to be 100% waterproof. My bino's meant to be 100% waterproof. My phone's meant to be waterproof. I'm going in. So instead of trying to try and stand and in the mud that you're sinking up to your knees each step, I just got on my belly and started just crawling across. And some water was like, it started to shallow out a bit, luckily. Out, and so I'm just crawling on my hands and knees, and when I'd get in the deeper parts, it was just sort of, I was just on my hands and knees on my belly, just sort of commando crawling to him. And I did my best to keep my bow level with the water, but it went in the water plenty of times. I still got the mud on it. I didn't want to wash it off. It's still on
the
there.
memories.
So, yeah, exactly. So I'm crawling out to this fella, and when I stopped, it felt like air bubbles going up my legs and up my arms. Like I just sort of, it was like, must have been bubbles coming out of the mud. Anyway, then I went to wipe a shoe of fly off my face, and it was just right in my eye. And when I lifted my hand out of the water, it was leeches, like hundreds of leeches. And I hate leeches. Like I was like nearly like hitting a cat with water, eh? Like I nearly bounced out of that billabong quicker than you can say, buddy, boom. Anyway, I shook him off, and I'm picking at him, and I put my head on my arm in the water and just took a breath. I had to regroup again because I'm just like, oh, like you're in here now. They've been on you 15 minutes, like, and it hasn't worried you because you've seen them now that your buddy been a silk. So I was like, nah, she'll be right. So I kept crawling towards this fella. And anyway, I just trying not to think about leeches in all this. So probably a good distraction from the thought of crocodiles. But anyway, I get out, and I was sort of got to about 35, I suppose, of him, and I'm still on my belly. And anyway, he started walking towards me, and with his head down, I'm like, holy shit! All of a sudden, the gap got under like high 20s, you know, and I'm like, oh, and I'm still sort of crawling while he's got his head under, and then he turned broadside at somewhere between 20, 25, maybe just over. And I'm like, I'm in a spot here. Like, I can make this happen. And I'm on my belly. I'm like, I need to get off my belly, you know. So I get up. He had his head under. I got up, had my bow in front of my face. And when I was out there halfway across, I could feel the glare. Like, felt like my face was just like a shining light on the, like, above the water, you know. So I've got a handful of mud, and I'm rubbing it all over my face. I'm like, you know, I could just feel it, that it was just standing out. So anyway, I was rubbing mud all over my face, and yeah, when I got in there, I thought, yeah, no, I've got mud on my face, got my bow in front of my face. I'm sweet. Like, I'll get up on my knees, and my limb, I was luckily on a shallower part of the, like, it was only a couple of inches deep. And anyway, I got up off my knees, and he's out in, like, over half his body depth of water. I was just about to go into a deeper part of water again. And as soon as he put his head up, and probably that 5 seconds that Matty said I've got a warning, the second he's obviously focused, he looked at me. Like, even though I had all my camo on, I had my bow in front of my face, I was dead still. Like, I wasn't moving from the second. And he looked at me and was just like, you weren't there a minute ago. And he just started, instead of chomping lily pads, he just started chomping, like, you know, sort of, and he did them couple of snorts of air out his nose. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting nervous, because now all of a sudden I'm not worried about leeches. I'm not worried about crocodiles, but I'm thinking, God, this thing's going to eat me. Like, so I'm like, oh. Anyway, he sort of started to walk away, luckily, not towards me, because I reckon I would have shit. And he kept stopping, looking at me, a couple more steps, stopping, looking at me, and he wasn't sure. So he goes over to the bank and starts nosing, like, the bank, you know. But he's facing me, and he knows the bank, then he put his head up and looked straight at me, like, and I'm about 50, 60 yards away now at this point. And then he put his nose down, and he nosed, and then he put his head up, trying to catch me out moving. So I'd moved then into the deeper water. When he had his head down, I got into the deeper water, so it's just my head above the water. And obviously it's only a foot deep, basically, where I was, or just over. But I managed to get the body down to that, so I'm moving towards him. I think my ass was in the air because that's just the way it works when you're trying to crawl across there. Anyway, so he ended up settling back down and walking back out in the water towards me, and I'm like, here we go, we're on. Like he started, just started relaxed, tail started wagging, come back out in the water. I'm like, yes, like he's finally got comfortable with me being here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is game on. I'm in a position. This is probably 30 minutes-ish into the stalk, 35 minutes. And meanwhile, the kids, Matty, the girls, they're all sitting on the bank having a beer, watching me. So the kids, once again, this was epic, being able to have the kids watch this unfold. And anyway, he ended up walking back over the bank, and there was a tree there, one tree on the edge of the thing, and I was like, he's going to wallow under that. That was what was always in my head when he was walking that way. I was like, he's going to get in the shade there and he's going to wallow because it's hot as hell. Anyway, he actually pulled up short of the tree in the sun and started wallowing facing away from me. Wow. And I'm like, you ripper, how good's this? So I'm boogieing on my hands and knees under the water across towards him and trying to make as much ground as I could. And I was dead silent. I wasn't making, I was making the minute bit of noise.
Just trickling the water past you, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so enough to get his attention. But straight away, he bounced up out of that wallow and spun around and looked at me and then laid back down as if he'd forgot for a second that I was there. And then he'd obviously, it was like a dead set, this is what it seemed like watching. It was like he just remembered that, there's a risk in that water, he spun around, looked, and he laid back down and got comfortable.
Yeah, wow.
You bastard. So, and by then, so I'm about 35 now off him, and, I wouldn't take a shot with at that range with my curve, but I'm on the right day, you can get lucky. But I was like, nah, it'll be right. He's still comfortable, he's still wallowing. I'll just wait. I'm watching his eyes, and I was like, if I see his eyes close, and this whole time this is going on, I'm inching towards him under the water, inch by inch. I'm like, I can get closer to you without even making a movement. So I'm inching towards him, and then, so this went on for probably another 15 minutes, and then, lo and behold, the bloody felt the wind up the back of my neck, and
no.
Oh, mate, and ivory for days, a pig to me that it'll stick in my mind forever. But that I was just excited not to shoot him,
Yeah, definitely. It's just welcome to bow hunting,
mate. On cloud nine, Just I walked back out of that bloody billabong with leeches and blood running out of me everywhere, buddy. The kids going, Dad, what happened? You all right? And anyway, I just had the biggest smile on my face, and it got better. We went down and put the boat in, and the kids didn't want to come. And Lukey was passed out on the back of the little Suzuki, so he was having a midday nap. And Amelia wasn't sure about coming in the boat to start with, so we went down, me, Dana, and Matty, and had a fish. And me and Dana, straight up, first cast, I got a big archer fish, which is cool, and lost to Saratoga, and then using this little surface frog, and Dana hooked up to this cracking, it was about 850 long barra. And while I'm watching her, one hit my frog. So we had a double hook up on these barra, and I'm like, this is hectic. Anyway, we managed to land both these fish, and so we went back up, showed the kids, and they were ecstatic. So Amir's like, Lukey still didn't want to come in the boat. So Amir's like, yeah, I want to come. Anyway, we went back down, threw this frog out again, and I threw it out for Amelia, and then next minute, boom. So I've handed the rod to Amelia, and she was just ecstatic. She wanted in this barra, and it was about 600 long. So she went home because Poppy, my father, he was saying to Amelia the whole time, got to bring me home some barra. So straight away, as soon as she's like, can we take it home for Pop?
So good.
We'll let it go, but yeah, it was just an absolute crack. And that was the last day of the trip. And then we sent it from there to home. We left there at 5 a.m. and we got home at 6:30 the next night. So
yeah, wow. What? Just did you stop and rest again, or you guys just tag team driving?
Stopped at Blackall, just south of Blackall, between Black and Cambo, I think it was, for about hours, and then we sent it home, and we got home, and Katie's nana passed the next morning. We made it home.
Held on for you.
She passed the next morning, so that was nice, but hard at the same time. But we managed to fulfill our holiday, and and we got home to see Nana, God love her. So it was it was good.
It's crazy. That's it's like, obviously sorry for your loss, and that's always a hard thing, but it's also so cool that you still got to actually do your trip, and it that didn't come later, and she did kind of hold on for you guys and see it out, so you actually got to have the proper experience of it all.
Yeah, no, that's right, mate. Yeah, it was definitely hard, and it was always in the back of our mind on the trip. But it was. We made the most. We'd planned this trip for well over 12 months, and
definitely you need to.
Yeah, we just thought, well, we're at the other end of Australia now, and we chose to go. We didn't put it off, so it was like, well, we've got to see it out, So, and before we left, Nana wasn't nowhere near as bad as what she declined in a short period of time. So, unfortunately, it's life, and that's why we all got to get out there and enjoy all these things while we can.
Definitely. Yeah, if anything, it just reminds you that life is short and you just got to take the most of it when you can. Actually, I went to a funeral just recently for a 36-year-old, died of cancer, and I was like, fuck, like, it's just crazy. Just... that was like a big wake-up call as to like, okay, what are you doing with yourself? Like, make sure that you're actually looking after yourself, looking after your family, like, get everything in order, but also just have fun with them. Like, it's just that good reminder. Like, he was a mate that I knew from the gym, and he literally had just got married a year ago. And so it's like, just to have that fresh love and then lose it all is just, pretty harsh. But if anything, it's just that reminder. And I think realistically, every time we're out in the bush, we're kind of reminded of like how good life can actually be.
And it takes you back to the basics of life. I guess you take every element,
the primal instincts,
to river, everything, every different aspect of it. You get to see it, and I guess that's why we get drawn to it. As I don't know, I think, myself, as I was younger, I was just a killer. I wanted to kill. But as I've got older, and I'm not that old, but at the same time, in a short time, you learn to respect animals, and you learn to appreciate them and appreciate, everything that's around them. So
definitely.
That's where I'm at these days. I enjoy just being in the bush, and half the time I sit there just watching them. And if the opportunity presents itself, well, it's there. But I mean, it's kind of different to living at home here. Like when I duck out, it's just a vermin control purpose. But
definitely,
but when I actually get to go spend a few days in the bush, that's what I'm doing. Like we all do. Like what we enjoy, just get up there, and if you get a couple of critters under your belt, well, you're happy. But if you don't, you're also happy. And
just a good way to fill the cup, right? Always is.
Yeah, I'm bloody oath. Like some of the things you see are just you just can't explain, can you?
Exactly.
Like, just you go home and tell the wife, I seen this big bloody buck kangaroo punching the hell out of this other one, or 2 wombats fighting. I seen 5 echidnas fighting one day.
What?
Like, I don't know. It must have been breeding season or something.
Orgy.
They were all I thought they were grunting like pigs. I snuck in thinking they were pigs, and here's these 5 like climbing all over one another, and I'm like, and they were literally, if you've ever seen the echidna run, it's funny as hell. But anyway, that was out at Warren, but it's like things like that. You go home and the wife will be going, what the hell were you smoking out in the bush? Like,
I swear I wasn't on anything. But it's so true, right? Just nature delivers.
Yeah, oh shit, yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's leeches. It's the one thing you don't want to respect. It made me laugh because we used to run health retreats, me and my wife. And when you said that, it brought back this memory. So what we would do on these health retreats is like sit down, do breath work, do meditations, do like healthy eating, take him out, do exercise, go and do cold plunging and stuff like that. And this one retreat, I'm running this meditation, and this lady just pops out of her seat, like sits straight up and goes, ah! Like screams her ass up in the middle of this meditation. Everyone's like, what the fuck? Like woke up from this dazed state, and she's got a leash on her because we're in this rainforest, and it'd come in on someone's shoe and attached itself to her. So we kind of had to have a laugh and try to get back into it. But yeah, I just thought it just reminded me of that. So good.
Fair enough.
The little vampires. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting because, and the further I get into bow hunting, the more I'm intrigued and wanting to get back to the recurve. And I know it's going to happen one day. I'm definitely like edging more towards it now, even. But part of the big goal for me this year was to actually get out and pretty much make it as successful a year for meat for the family as possible. And I've been fortunate enough to pretty much, I'd say probably 85 to 90% of our meat intake has come from hunted meat this year, which has been incredible. The only stuff that we haven't is pretty much like takeout. And there was like a month, not even a month, there's like a couple of weeks in between hunts where I'd run our meat. And outside of that, it's all been, through hunted meat. So for me going out now, I'm like, not that there's a heap of pressure for it or whatever. It's just this goal that I've kind of got, and I'm intrigued to try see it out. But I go out with the compound, and I'm a lot more confident with that. I'm like, okay, well, I know if I get to 30, 40 meters, I'm pretty confident with my shot. Like I'm going to be able to knock down some animals and take home some meat. It really just becomes a complete game change when you come to shooting with the recurve, especially to start with. Like I'm maybe effective out to 12 meters with my recurve when I pick it up, and that's with shooting quite a lot. Like, I don't know, like getting out to 25 meters or 30 meters, like it's just a complete game changer. It's something you do have to be on daily. With your technique, like what approach do you have? Did you just kind of do instinctive, or do you go point on?
Just 100% instinctive.
Yeah.
Like from the word go, from the get go, my line was good, but I'd shoot high, which is apparently a common thing. So I'd move back further. I'd go 40 yards back, and I'd still shoot high. So like if I just move back a bit, I'll shoot it spot on, build me confidence. Go back 40 meters, you still shoot the same distance high, and I'm like, how the hell does this work? But from the get go, the very day I got my bow, Jack organised for me, and it turned up, and I straight away sent him a video of me shooting it, because I was like, mate, I know straight away what I'm doing wrong, so I can get my form and my technique right from the get-go. So I trained myself right from the start. So that way...
Smart. Perfect practice.
I wasn't going to teach myself a bad habit and then have Jack go, geez, your form's shit. I tried to get him to correct that straight away, which I still have my own technique of shooting. But having that guidance from the start was just a massive help, because that way, once I did that, I was like, righto. I just started shooting more and more and more and more, and I missed heaps and lost heaps of arrows, and I still have my days where I walk out and it's just not on. Like
definitely,
days you walk out and you just shoot, and everything feels good. I don't know whether it comes down to a tired muscle or different things you do at work, where it just like if everything's not working for you, it just doesn't work.
The mind's distant or something like that, right? And it can be so much. Yeah.
Only like probably 3 weeks ago, I actually tried shooting point on, and my groups were unbelievable. Like when I time to do it, but that was the whole reason I got away from a compound, because I struggled with target panic, like hugely. Like my mind just goes into a flat when I'm trying to aim at something. Whereas when I can just look at something, it's like the bow's not even in my hand. Like I'm just looking at that spot on that animal. That's all I look at. And 90% of the time now, like I've certainly improved from what I was. But now, like I'm getting pretty confident with that, if it's within 20 meters, I wouldn't want to go any more than 20 meters to keep my confidence high.
Yeah.
But at 20 metres or less, which I like to be close. I like to get in there.
Definitely.
Nice anyway, and if it runs away too bad, I had fun getting in there anyway. So, yeah, the point on definitely works. It is a goer, but I don't think I could do it in the bush. I don't think I could do it with a critter because my mind would go into a panic the second I try and aim that point at a spot to then release. It just wouldn't work for me. Whereas I literally draw back, I lock, like I feel my shoulder roll over, and my knuckle and my thumb touches my earlobe. Mm-hmm. I don't think about any of this, but I just know that's the way it happens, and that arrow's gone. The second that knuckle hits my earlobe, poof, gone.
It's good that you have that insight, though, right? Like, for you to understand that, hey, I don't deal well with target panic, and I'm either going to have to go and do a heap of work there, or I can just keep doing what I do with instinctive. It's just good to know that stuff. And I think it's why it's so important to do trial and error. Like, go and trial out a few different methods and see what you actually really like. It's like, for a compound shooter, like, do you shoot with a back tension or a trigger release, or do you want to use a thumb trigger? Like, what's your preference? And I think playing around with the different methods is what kind of gives you that best insight.
It's funny you say that, actually. When we were up at Stratburn with the boys, Tommy and Summers and all out of there, and Tommy's like, "Oh, you got to try this release. It'll be funny when you punch yourself in the nose." And I'm like, "Good on you." And I was like, "Yeah, righto, this is dark and about 12 cans deep. And, the 3D target's down the paddock." It's like, there's no way you're going to get your arrow back, but righto. But anyway, so it was I'm not even sure what type of release it was.
It would have been.
You keep tension, pressure on your index finger.
Yeah.
And you just release, like, take pressure so as if you're going to point at the target with your index finger. So it rolls into your other two fingers and it releases. Asked me what type of release it was, but I felt more comfortable with that than any other release I'd ever, because you don't know when it's going to go off. Therefore,
so you're saying it's a finger. So you've got essentially the three fingers, but as you release tension from your pointer finger and roll it into the others, that's when it lets go.
So with your index finger, So
there's not a trigger though. That's what I'm saying. Is there?
No, not a trigger.
Yeah.
Literally, just take pressure. So you just relax, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, Tommy,
taught you about it. Yeah.
It was basically, he said, just pretend to point at the target. So just relax your hand as if you're going to point at the target. And before you even go to move your finger, the arrow's gone. Like, but that's how sensitive. So meanwhile, when I'm pulling this thing back, man, I'm holding on to this thing with that, because I'm thinking I'm going to punch myself
in the face. Yeah.
So I got a bleeding nose, but luckily I managed not to do that. So, but it was comfortable, But at the end of the day, from the very first day, like we spoke of me shooting that longbow at deer camp at my friend Bruce's place, like he's been probably like my Uncle Stan and Bruce. When I got back into the bows, like actually seriously, when I learned to shoot, was probably because of Brucey. My neighbour, she's like, "You got to meet my son. He loves bow hunting. He's been up shooting buffalo and all this, and I was only young and had a bow, but didn't know how to use it. Well, over the years, so he was the one that taught me the paper tuning and all that sort of stuff. And
wow.
That's probably where the biggest influence kept the ball rolling with the bow, because without that, I would have probably lost interest because I still couldn't make things come together.
Is this paper tuning with a recurve or with the wheels?
This is shooting with the compound, but at his place, when Benny was there, shooting that longbow at that fox that day, from all the years from there, so I would have been 24 maybe, something like that. So from when I was 14, so 10 years I've been shooting a bow and struggling with that target panic with a compound. And then, 10 years that I'd seriously been trying to hunt critters. So from when I was 14 was when I started trying to hunt critters. I had bow before that when I was 9. Got my first one. But that straight away, as soon as I shot that longbow, that was the first shot I had out of it. And straight away I knew that was me. I was like, that all over. Just because I was so relaxed, as much as my heart was jumping out of my chest, there was a box right there. I got the stick and string in my hand. What am I going to do with it? But, yeah, anyway, as soon as I had that shot and whatnot, how that story unfolded, when I said I'm selling me compound, like I'm getting one of these things, and he's like, they all say that, and I'm like, no, mate, I'm serious, like, like this is me, because I was just so relaxed when it come to that, go time, like,
yeah, it's incredible.
So, and I'll never change, like that's just me. If I'm going to kill critters, I'll do it with the stick bow. One, because I love the hell out of it. Two, it's a hell of a lot more challenging, and I don't know, there's probably the two best reasons, I suppose. Like,
I was surprised to hear you only had one bow. Essentially, it's yours. Everyone else's is a borrowed bow.
I've had 3 bows, but I also have really close friends that have loved the idea out of it, getting into the traditional side. So my first recurve was a Predator. My good friend Joey, he's got now, and he's killed his first couple of rabbits and stuff like that with it. Had a shot at deer at deer camp with me this year, and his face, when he shot at this deer, completely over its back, but it didn't matter, like
just
his first ever crack at deer with the curve. And my Black Widow, I didn't want to part with it. Like it was great bow. But my mate Matty, he was like, from when I said, me and Jack ordered the 2 stalkers, like they're twins basically. And we ordered them both at the same time, got them over here. Yep, that was sweet. Well, when I told Matty that I was ordered a bow, he's like, well, I'm buying your widow. And I'm like, no. And then I was like, yeah, righto, the 10 cans deep. Yeah, righto. But then I was like, oh, mate, look, I don't really want to part. But I was like, no, you know what? He wants to get into it. Like, can only encourage it. Why?
Definitely,
he could go with a bow, but if the effort in that stops him from doing it, I'd rather give him my bow. So that way I know he's going to have a go. And he actually shot his first fox. I've got videos that I haven't put up as yet on Instagram. But we went out on the weekend, just close to home. Bruce, Lukey, my son, Matty with his curve, and he managed to get his first fox on the deck with the recount.
That's so good.
That was hectic, So that was a big milestone. First critter with a curve, but also a fox, which they are hard. Like they are a hard hit with a recurve at any distance, because they're just so nimble and they can move. When you take the fur off them, there ain't much to them.
No, exactly. Little muscly, springy bastards, like a rabbit, right?
Yeah, pretty well. So that was awesome to have Lukey. Like Lukey was ecstatic. That was his first fox that he witnessed, shot, and retrieved. So
that's
Lukey,
huge. That's cool.
Was just as excited as Matty as well. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was awesome. So that was just on the weekend, but so that's the reason why now I only have the one stalker. I've got Brucey's longbow here that pretty well lives here as well, which I shot fox with there a couple of weeks ago. But it's a great bow. It's a Thunderhorn, and only 50 pounds, so it's 10 pound lighter than my bow. But I love that it's a shooter. Like it just shoots. Like it's so good to shoot. I don't know what it is about it, but he'd be lucky
nice.
If
yeah, gotcha. It's inherited.
Pretty well. It's here at the moment, which I'll probably, if I sneak out for any cheeky walks, well, it goes with me now because I'm just enjoying the hell out of shooting it. But definitely going to add a longbow on my own to the collection. Obviously, family and money and everything else, you can only spend so much when you got other goals to reach. So
definitely,
if I've got the one bow I can hunt, I'm going to have a collection one day, definitely. But the reason also being, probably the biggest reason I parted with the recurve as well as getting Matty started, is it didn't have my name on it. Something about hunting with a bow with someone, I bought it secondhand, and there's something about hunting with a bow with someone else's name on it that just doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah, understandably.
It's cool, but make a bow collection of my own with my name and all my kids.
Exactly.
But something special with that too, which I got to say, shout out to Jack for it. When we ordered these bows, Jack, he's telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to order you a pink riser and this and that." And I'm like, "Yeah, righto, whatever." Anyway, the bows turned up. I got photos. In the end, he sent me photos of our 2 bows laying side by side, and they were at his place. And I'm like, "Oh, how sick is this?" So anyway, the box finally turns up. He sent them by mail from his house to my house, and anyway, I sitting at the table and I opened the box, and straight away here's this bright pink riser, and I'm like, "What the is like?" What is... Anyway, then there's a blue riser. I'm like, "What the hell? What is going?" I couldn't work out what was going on. So little did I know, Jack, God love him, and I'm very thankful for it. He's ordered the kids 2 of their own.
That's what you're going to say.
From South, yeah, and so they got their own 2 little 15-pound recurves from South, and they got their names on them, so they're not going anywhere, like that. Something so special that I have no doubt. Like they got enough go in them to kill a young pig or a fox, or their first critter. I have no doubt will hit the deck with these bows. So that's a super special moment. That's going to come later in life once the kids are a little bit stronger. But that was a super cool thing for someone to do, and I had no idea that this was going on. So yeah, that was pretty awesome, and the kids love him. Like the next morning when they got them, they're out and they're shooting, at me bore target, and realistically they're only lobbing an arrow 2 or 3 meters, but who gives a hell?
Exactly, it's just getting them into it.
They were loving the hell out of it.
That's incredible. That's so cool, and they'll remember that forever, and they'll remember good old Uncle Jack for doing that for them as well, right? They'll remember the first hunt when he takes them out with them as well.
Yeah, and like they won't have the problem of Dad worrying about someone else's name on their bow because
exactly.
From future collections, it's just something of mine. If I have it, I'm going to keep it. If you can personalise it like that, I mean, it means nothing, but at the end of the day, it's better than having someone else on it when you're walking.
Exactly. What about the debate between wood arrows and carbon arrows? Like, obviously, carbon makes sense for being able to retrieve your arrows and make sure you've got them to use them again.
Yep.
Have you ever used wood arrows on the curve side of things, or the stick bow in general?
Yep, I've only killed one. I don't know. Yeah, only one critter with a wooden arrow. Killed a goat down at Jack's place, with the wife and kids there as well. I think there's a photo on the Instagram page of us all sitting there behind the goat. That was my first critter with a wooden arrow, and that only reason I stopped shooting the wooden shafts was because they were for a 50-pound bow, and I got my widow, which was 63-pound or something, and I wasn't game to shoot them through. I shot one at like 3/4 draw, and it went a weak spine majorly, and I was like, I'm not even game to try and shoot these through, because my predator that I shot the wooden shafts with, it was only 50 pounds. So it was great with that, but yeah, with the stronger poundage bow, I was like, and it was just Jack was trying to locate some shafts for the heavier poundage for me, but just had no luck. Like it couldn't like it any for that poundage. So anyway, that is going to happen again, definitely, because it's such a cool thing using wooden arrows, and that I really love doing that. Like it
becomes a lot more of an art, doesn't it, in regards to creating your own arrows as well. Like it's the next level up, I believe, of arrow making.
100%. And I'm yet to learn it. So like, yeah, I'm going to be annoying the shit out of Jack when I pull my finger out and actually find some shafts that'll suit my new bow. But I'll be like, "Oh mate, come down for a beer." And
You said it went weak spine before, and so do you mean it just like it was wobbly too much, or what was
major knock left?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So the rear end of your arrow just
shoots
target,
out, yeah,
right way out to the left, and basically just fly sideways.
Yeah.
So, and like stiff spines knock right. So, it's that just comes down to arrow length, weight, like whatever, what broadhead you're using. But there was no way that I was gonna, like, I was already like I had that arrow as short as possible as it was never going to shoot through the stronger poundage bow, but had to try.
Yeah, definitely.
But I didn't want an arrow in the arm either, so probably wise just to put them away. And I actually give a few to Bruce and a few to Joey because he's shooting 50-pound longbow.
Yeah, of course.
And Joey was shooting 50-pound Predator then, my old bow. So handed on a few to them boys for them to play around with, and they've been flung at critters since, but just no success. But yeah,
is it as common to get an arm through the arrow with that? Like, I know definitely with your compounds, they'll shatter an arrow pretty easily. Is it pretty common as well with the recurves?
I think it's possible with any bow. I could be way wrong, and people will say, "Yeah, you're wrong," or "You're right." Who knows? I don't know, but I know two fellas that Bruce, like shooting compound. He's like, you see them horrific photos, the arrow through the hand.
Shit all through the hand, just spattered.
He's done that.
Oh.
He's done that, but it never went through his hand. It just put a big ass hole in the back of between his thumb and finger.
Oh, wow.
But obviously just flung out. But he was super lucky with that. And I had a bow explode on me one night because of the arrow. I'd shot a pig with the arrows when I was living at Warren and didn't check it. Rookie mistake. Should have, always just flex your arrow after shooting something with it. Like, it's a must. You should do it every time you shoot a critter. This is my opinion. Doesn't mean anyone, but my opinion. You shoot a critter with an animal. Shoot a critter with an arrow. When you retrieve your arrow, you go, yeah, sweet. It's good to go. Pick it up, grab it by the fletchers and grab it by the broadhead, and flex it a bit and just lift, because if there's a crack in it, you'll hear it. It'll go like you'll hear them fibers crack. And if it does that, keep bending it and it'll snap and throw it all, broadhead, get your knock, get whatever you can retrieve and throw it away. Because I've got unscathed luckily once. Didn't check the arrow, should have, didn't, and the arrow exploded the second I let go. Jesus. And the arrow never touched me at all. Didn't hurt me. My bow de-strung. And it was like, at first I was like, what the hell happened here? Like, didn't know what happened. But then straight away, it wasn't rocket science to put the piece together. When I picked up the arrow in 4 bits, it was like, yeah, right, okay, I know exactly what's happened here. Like, and the first break in the arrow was like a clean. So obviously it had just, whether it had hit a rock or something, put a little gouge in it. So it was just
all the pressure.
Yeah, the second that
when
I released, it just went snap, like went bang. And so now, like whenever, even shooting your targets, and the arrow goes down the paddock, when I'm walking back from the target, I'll just play around because you just don't know, like a rock puts a nick in it or a scratch on it on the wrong angle. It does, like any carbon you scratch it. It's like a fishing rod. Like if you mark your fishing rod, it 9 times out of 10 gets weight on it. It'll snap at that point.
Yeah.
So it's pretty important when you got strong poundage pushing that out, and a lot of people probably don't think to check that. But
no, definitely. I know some people that will they'll just throw out an arrow. If they knock it with another arrow, they'll get rid of it. And I was like, wow, that's an expensive mistake to make then.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. I've shot, you're shooting broadies into a target or whatever, and your broadhead will rotate and cut 3 inches back, like won't cut, but it'll just leave a tiny little nick.
Yeah. 2
or 3 inches back from your outsert insert, and the carbon. You put a bit of pressure on it, seems all right. I deem that as safe. It's like, no, it's at a low risk end of the arrow.
Yeah.
Where if you have that same mark at your fletchers or just in front of your fletchers, that's where
very different story.
That's where all that pressure's going. Like in front of your fletchers to the center of the arrow, and I've got lucky twice, and like I said, Bruce has had an arrow in the back of the hand, like a friend of mine, and it's not cool. So.
No, definitely not. How about arrow weight? Have you played around with that much with the curves?
Yeah, so I run. It's about 565.
Okay.
My arrow weight. I run a 175 grain Cayuga pilot cut up front, without the bleeders, and the stainless insert outsert, alloy insert stainless outsert, and it's a great combination. It's a good weight.
What shafts are you using at the moment?
The traditional BHDs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're a great shaft, and I haven't had any troubles with them. My widow, these arrows I had set up, I shot straight out of my stalker, and they fly like darts. And believe it or not, I haven't even bothered to tune, like bare shaft tune an arrow to that bow yet, simply because I can't argue with the way them arrows fly out of that bow.
Yeah.
If you watch, straight away any hunter will shoot an arrow and you go, holy shit, that flew well. Or you go, geez, that was wild. Like, yeah, what happened there?
Definitely.
And I have no doubt that I could tune my new bow better, but I see no reason to until I buy a new set of shafts, because I just simply, I'll just whack one of these through it and see what it does. And straight away you'll know if it's stiff or weak or,
definitely,
whatever. And, mate, they just flew. So it was like, oh, well, wait.
And so your bare shaft tuning, pretty much is before you put vanes on it all, and you're just shooting it like that with the field point in. Is that correct?
Yeah. So just field point to the same weight as the broadhead you plan to use. And you just read your arrow basically,
and then you adjust your knock. Is that right?
Yeah. So you can knock tune, like spin your arrow, but also so you start with a full length shaft. So you buy a new set of shafts. You'll take one arrow from that bunch. You can do it with all if you're real excited, but I'm impatient as hell and just want to get them fletched up. And normally I've got the kids screaming at me and making a mess, so it's like, yep, righto. So you just get one arrow. Normally your arrow length.
Yeah.
So my new set of shafts, you might just cut it an inch longer than what you normally have. You can normally, the right way to do it, start with a full length shaft, and then you just cut so much off per shot. And like, so full length shaft with that broadhead field point weight, straight away you're going to get a weak reading, because you got a full length shaft, it's going to be weak. So when you cut some off, it slowly stiffens the spine because there's less area for that arrow to flex, basically. So it's having a piece of wood. If you have a long broom handle, you can bend it, but if you shorten that broom handle to a foot long, you can't bend it at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's like tapstick. So basically, you just shorten that arrow to a point where you'll be reading a major knock left to start with, and you just keep cutting increments off until you get a dead straight flying bear shaft. So it'll fly like a bullet.
Yeah.
And then you have your knock high, knock low, you can adjust. And like that, if you've got that right anyway, you're just simply worrying usually about
tails left to right. Yeah.
Knock right. And it's a great way of getting, like, I shoot better bullet holes through paper with my recurve than I ever did with my compound, and I didn't think it was possible. And like you get a bullet hole and you go, sweet, but I thought, I'll just shoot through paper for the sake of it with my curve, just because I was like, see how this goes. And when I did it, I was blown away. I was like, no, that can't be right. I got to do that again. I was like, holy shit. Like, so, and then you go and add 5, whether you shoot 5-inch feathers or 4-inch or 2-inch or whatever, but you go and add feathers to that. It's simply, I'm sure Jack told me, normally bare shafting, you just go ever so slightly stiff spine. So that way when you add that, like when I say slightly, it's like minute. When you add your fletchers and whatnot to that arrow, that'll just correct that tiny little bit of weight will just correct, like it'll just make it perfect. Like,
yeah, wow.
That perfect result. And yeah, you go and add fletchers to that already flying perfect arrow. It doesn't get any better. Like it just
Remind me why they do the feathers rather than like your veins. I have been told by a mate before, but I can't actually remember. What's the big difference?
So, well, I suppose people will all have their different opinions of it. But so as your arrow goes off the rest of your bow, the feathers actually go to nothing.
They compress, yeah.
So as your arrow rotates off the shelf of your bow, they just disappear basically. So your arrow is not being obstructed or deflected in any way as it leaves the bow. So it's because people would argue, well, we got a perfectly flying arrow with feathers. Why would you bother putting feathers on it? But broadheads do funny things. The first time I ever learnt paper tune with a compound, I didn't know that you're not meant to put a broadhead on with a bare shaft, because I was shafting with my compound, and people will laugh and go, "You idiot!" But
if you've never been told before, you never know, right?
I was teaching myself, so I'm there. Oh yeah, sweet! I got a buddy, and you hear a field point broadhead tuning, like, so I'm like, oh yeah, well my field point's fine, sweet. Now time to try my broadhead. So screw a broadhead on a bare shaft out of a 70-pound compound that doesn't go too well.
What happened? Where'd it go?
Oh mate, everywhere. Yep. A skyrocket fall over at a bloody bonfire, and it just like. Well, that was my arrow.
Bounced around the tin shed, hey?
Yeah. It's So I was like, And then I can't remember who I told. One of my mates was in the hunt. I was like, I did this. They're like, yeah, what? You're not meant to do that. I'm like, yeah, could have told me that before I tried it. But anyway, sometimes it's dumb. Like, obviously that's not a smart thing to do, and that doesn't work. So don't try it. But sometimes when you don't know, the best way to learn things is try different things. I was
going to say, you'll never do it again, that's for sure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, it's certainly don't do that. But mucking around with paper tuning and stuff like that, bare shaft tuning, it's such a big essential when you really, you start to find your gears with it all, and you just go, oh. And then once the confidence that gives you, like, if you watch your arrow fly and it flies good and you go, yeah, sweet, like that's me with my recurve at the moment. Yeah, sweet, my arrow's flying good. But when you shoot that bare shaft through paper and you shoot that bare shaft at a target and you watch it just fly like a dart and you shoot it through paper and it's just a perfect bullet hole, when you put fletchers on that, it's like adding a whole nother level to your confidence when you're in the bush, because you know how you always have your favourite arrow. Like, I don't know whether you shoot at your target and you just have this arrow that always just seems to hit the spot.
Yeah.
Well, it's always number one in your quiver, isn't it? Like, always there. And your first time to pull that out, well, when you muck around doing that tuning, if you do it with every arrow, the confidence it gives you knowing that arrow flies like a dart. It, like, you do everything right, that arrow's going to go where you want it to. And it's not going to be the odd one out the run of the letter that you didn't try and you go, oh, shit, like, geez, I hope this wasn't the run. Like, but it certainly pays to do it if you're lacking in confidence or anything like that. I find that's, like, just
well worth it.
Oh, it's 100%. Like, because I didn't know anything about it, and slowly taught myself when I picked up the curve. Jack taught me, buddy, what I had to do there, and it just, there's nothing better than knowing that arrow is going to fly perfectly.
Yeah, actually, I need to get another set, another dozen done up for my recurve because I've got a few left. But to be honest, I've tried to teach a few people how to use the recurve. We've got in our backyard, we've got the garden shed right next to the neighbour's fence, and that's where my shooting lane pretty much, like right up there. And
Yep.
I'll have them stand like 5 meters or so from the target. And the amount of times, like my poor shed's pretty aerated now. It's got a few bullet holes to the side where I've shown people showing people how to shoot, and
Where
they
not to
shoot.
hit.
Yeah, exactly. And they hit exactly when I was telling you not to. So maybe I'm not the best coach, but I definitely need another dozen, I'd say, because I started off with I just started off with a pack, and I've just always had the same arrows. And I shot a bunny. I shot a bunny with my recurve before I even had my compound, and I was like, yes, this is sick. This is so good. I want to keep doing it. But then I went and tried to shoot a pig and just saw like it pretty much just fell short, went underneath him, and I was like, wow, I'm going to need a lot of power if I'm going to be able to penetrate one of them. That's what kind of got me moving on. But it's definitely, I think our conversation last week definitely got me pretty eager. And I think every single time that I talk to another stick bow hunter, I definitely, it lights a little fire again. I'm like, I got to get it out. So it'll definitely happen. It's always been a goal to go and knock some red deer over with the compound, and then take the recurve out and finish it.
Oh.
Do a red deer with the recurve. So that's the long term goal. But I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon.
Red deer with the curve is I've only done it once, and I haven't secured a red deer with the curve. But I was fortunate enough to go hunting reds with Jack, and that was an experience. Like I've shot a red deer with the compound, but like I've started my bucket list again with the recurve. Like that was the way I sort of looked at it, and they're an unbelievable animal. And I put an arrow through the neck of an animal that was by accident, like not by accident. It was just the way the animal moved on the shot. At 12 meters, I had a red stag that I will probably never, ever shoot something at that quality ever again.
Yeah.
But the experience, what I take out of it, like it hurts when I think of that moment.
Definitely, that's heartbreaking. Yeah.
When we both think of that moment, we both probably, cringe a little. But to have that moment, that memory of that animal at 12 meters, and credit to that animal, mate. He could move.
Was that in the middle of the rut?
You would not. Sorry.
Was it in the rut?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Last year. Yeah, last year, and it was like the way that animal turned inside out. This thing the size of a horse. And you know how they always say, don't look at the antlers. Like, don't look at the antlers. Like, don't look at the. Well, I'm down on my knees, and there's all this short bush, and the only thing I can see coming through is these freaking like antlers that were as thick as my arm, and
big old white tips,
like just massive crowns, like huge. This thing was
wow.
And this thing comes into like 12 yards, and I'm on my knees at full draw, ready to lock. And when he come through, he just propped like a cat. Like the second he come through, he was onto me. But I'm like, I'm already ready. Like, screw you. And I had a tree just behind the point of his shoulder, so I knew he was onto me. I'm already looking at that point. Like, I'm looking at where I want to hit him, right behind the point of the shoulder, like was where that was the only option I had with this tree. So I'm like, I could just see basically his ticker. Yeah. But his lungs were sort of covered by this tree as such. Like, that's sort of the visual I was getting, and his leg bone. Like, probably where I was looking was all but his leg bone and his shoulder blade. But my vision in my head, which was probably the wrong decision at the time, I'm like, he knows I'm here, and when I shoot, he's going to turn away from the shot. Like, he's going to turn and open that side up. He's only got to move 2 inches, and he's opened his whole side up that I wanted, and it's game over. Well, instead, he ducked and rolled his head back, and I shot him just a flesh wound, just above the spine, like neck, through the meat, out the other side. Didn't even hurt him, and he just trotted on down the hill like nothing was wrong with him. And I think I spent the rest of the day crying. So carrying me bottom lip all the way back to camp.
Far out.
That one.
I'm intrigued in that circumstance to get the big boy to come in. Were you guys roaring or were you hind calling him in?
That's pretty. That's pretty funny actually. Kev Schilf, Jack organised a horn
Yeah,
from
awesome.
Kev for as a gift, as a surprise for me, going down for my first ever proper red hunt. And so we had to wait around. Like, I'm like, let's go, Jack, let's go. And we're waiting for this mailman to turn up. And I'm like, what? Waiting for the goddamn mailman? Like, let's go. And he's like, no, I just got to wait. Like, so anyway, luckily we waited. So this beautiful raw horn, thanks, Kev, turned up. And so the whole way down, I don't know whether it was a good gift or not. So I'm there trying to roar. I'm there. You can imagine how that went. Like, Jack pretty well just had his headphones on by the end of it. Like, shut up. You'd scare any deer away in the bush.
They're not getting fooled.
No. So anyway, we're on this little knob. We've been walking for, it was about 6 days in the bush. And anyway, Jack had actually marked this deer the year before and had a shot at him and missed. And we're in the same basin, same area. And he was like, oh, so I'm there on this horn, and I was on this ridge, and I'm there with this horn roaring. And anyway, because it was sort of mid-morning, like everything had stopped. So I'm there just going, oh, well, I'm just going to practice in the bush. Why not? So I'm there roaring. Then I was doing hind and fawn calls through the horn just to get it to echo down the valley. And it was actually working really well. Like, it was so crisp and clear down this valley that it was working. So I'm like, that sounds really good. Next minute, I get my head driven into the dirt. Like, I'm not looking. Jack just drives me into the dirt. I'm like, what? And he's like, get. Like, he's stuttering, and I'm like, trying to rocks out, hanging out of my teeth, because he literally drove me into the dirt. And as all I looked up, I'm trying to get fumble an arrow onto the string. And literally, like I said, like, when I first seen him, he would have been 100 metres away. And the time it took me to regroup myself off the ground, which wasn't long, not an arrow, he was 20 yards away. Like,
Yeah,
they can move.
they run
So,
in, yeah.
like, he was only walking, but he was like just on a
Mission.
a power walk mission towards us. And I'm like, so I'm got an arrow knocked, and within wouldn't have been 5 seconds, Jack had scurried into a bush to my left, and he's coming up, and is all I can see is these antlers. Like, them antlers will stick in my brain for the rest of my life. But so I've gone, like, straight away within 10 seconds of him there, I'm at full draw, and that the rest was history. I fumbled it. Well, I didn't fumble the shot. That arrow flew exactly where I was looking. Like, the arrow went where I was looking, but the deer wasn't where he was when the arrow got there. And at 12 metres, like 12 yards, this thing
Still maneuver.
had literally, it seemed like a metre. Like, and you think, how can you respond so quick? Like, it's just.
I shared a video on my Instagram the other day, and it was pretty much talking about the anatomy of a deer and the way that they activate. It's exactly what you're saying. How they'll drop to roll almost to get out of that situation. It was a whitetail deer, so I don't know how accurate it was to all other species, but by what you've said, it's like the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, it's they're unbelievable how quick they can move, and that was in my mind. Like, he was on to me, and that was where I, on an animal like that, do you take a risky shot and risk injuring him and never seeing him again? Do you take the shot? Well, mate, my heart was pumping. I was excited, buddy. That my thought was in that moment was, he's so close that even if he reacts to the shot, I'm still going to get vitals. And if he, I took a calculated guess on the way he was going to react, just on the way he had. So he had his front left leg forward. So he had that whole side of him opened up. Mm-hmm. He had front right leg back. So, and I'm on the left-hand side of him. So his leg closest to me is forward. His other offside leg's back. He's in a bush with his neck stretched right out, down low, because he was coming through the trees. So my thought is, when he's in that position, is he's going to roll to his right away from when I shoot.
Yeah,
which
makes sense.
Opened his whole side up, but instead mate, I don't even know how he got where he got. Jack's got the film, like this is on film.
Yeah,
and mate, I choose not to watch it as a part. But yeah, the way that thing reacts is just crazy, and they're all the same, you know.
You'll have to call him third time, hey? Third time lucky. Whoever gets him next time round.
Well, that's right. Yeah, his day will come. Don't worry. But if it hasn't already, yeah, they're a super cool animal. The reds, like they
definitely, dude. Like each time I see a video or something about red roaring, I'm just getting so excited for next year, and it's still 6 months away, just about. But it's just like it's coming. I know it's coming. I can feel it in my bones. Like I'm getting all excited. Yep. It's so good. I did much of the same thing. The very first year I went out, I was just kind of like roaring. I didn't really understand anything much about them, so I'm just out there roaring. I had 3 stags up on the ridge line around me, and the closest one was a couple hundred meters up the ridge. One right up on the very point, on the very top of the ridge, and one over to my right. And I just start roaring at these deer just to see what would happen. They're just talking, like all of them, just lighting up this mountain. I'm like, this is so sick. And next thing I know, he's literally the one that was closest to me, a couple hundred meters away. He's right there, like right in my face, probably 30 meters away from me. He's just seen me and just started to trot off. I'm like, God damn it. Yeah. But it just shows the roaring definitely works. I tried a year where I just hind called and I got all the young boys in, but none of the old ones. So this year I'm definitely going to do the combo. I think it'll be my mixture. I've got Kevy coming back on, actually. We're going to do a raw pre-raw, pump everyone up, get everyone ready to rumble, make sure that no one's making the silly mistakes that we can all make when we're out there and feeling red fever.
Yeah, no one knows them too much better than Kev, so
exactly, it'd be well worth it.
Yeah, it's that'll be good. That'll pump me up.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Benny, thank you very much, mate. This has been awesome. Really good conversation. I'm sure we could bloody talk all night, to be honest. Like you sound like you've got 1,001 stories to be able to tell with all your experience behind the bow. It's really cool, and it's good just to kind of have you shed that light on the recurve a little bit more. I know of all the things, that's the thing I get the request for the most when people reach out for the podcast. The request is always, hey, can you get some more recurve hunters on? So it's great to be able to actually fulfill that a little bit and get you on and finally have a yard with you. We took since June to make this happen, but we got there.
It takes a little bit of organising, but it's as you know, I'm sitting out in the car at the moment because it was hectic in my house, and we had this organised. I'm like, been in the header all day, never got home. I'm literally jumping out of the shower to read books to kids, and then they're screaming. I'm like, you know what, wifey, I can't bail on this again. I've got to go make this phone call. So it's I'm sitting out in the car outside, and I think everyone's asleep now, but it's like what you got to do to sometimes.
I appreciate it, mate, and I'm sure everyone else who's listening will too. It's life with young kids sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly. Well, hopefully they enjoy this one as well as the one we did with Franny, and that I'm a little less cross-eyed tonight. As if we dribbled on.
Both very insightful.
We were having fun, and that was a top day. So you just got to put up with the character in that one. But
exactly.
Anyway.
So once again, your Instagram is Benny_Fensom, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll put it in the show notes anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. Benny_Fensom. I think you taught me that last week. Actually.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Appreciate you.
No idea. That's it, I think. Yep.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks, mate.
No worries at all.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you're enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.